Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. So between the years 2006 2020, the number of opioid prescriptions dropped from about 215 million to 140 million. And that data point tells us a couple things. First, that physicians are responding to the opioid crisis, but it also tells us that there's millions of patients that are in need that are not being treated. And this is the group of patients that we are targeting, those who have been left behind in the opioid crisis. At OCT, we're focused on cannabinoids and the receptors because we believe that they offer the best opportunity to either reduce or replace opioids in many, not all, but in many indications. Our pipeline is diversified to balance risk, and it offers many opportunities for success. We develop phytocannabinoids, but our research is really focused on that next generation, the cannabinoid derivatives. That's where we are positioning ourselves for the future. And finally, we are using investors' money wisely and efficiently in furthering our drug development programs. The pie chart on the right demonstrates the total addressable market for cannabinoids in pain. Not the total pain market, but the segments of the pain market that can be treated with cannabinoids. And this adds up to about 42.5 billion by 2027. The serviceable available market of those segments, that'd be neuropathic pain and visceral pain, are our first two segments that they're targeting. And then the serviceable attainable market are those indications that we are currently pursuing. And we've only included our first two drug candidates, first three indications, and that adds up to 1.5 billion. Since our IPO, so we IPO'd in May, and since then we've made really good progress across all of our programs. Some of the highlights, we kicked off preclinical development in July with our lead candidate, OCT 461201. And we went with Evotec because they are the only company who can provide both the manufacturing and the biology all under one roof. So they can do the safety, the toxicology, pharmacokinetics, as well as all the manufacturing. And in the age of COVID, that was very important to us in order to reduce our risk for delays. And then in October, we kicked off our second preclinical development program. So that'd be our program number 2, which is now OCT 13401. And this is inhaled cannabinoid to treat trigeminal neuralgia. And this is moving along very well. This is a streamlined, fast-moving drug development project. It's really interesting because we're taking phytocannabinoids that are being manufactured to GMP with drug master files, so we don't have to do the manufacturing, everything for FDA, MHRA, it's all available. And then we're taking a metered dose inhaler, the same kind that an asthma patient would use. It's off the shelf again. And then to obtain market exclusivity, we're pursuing an orphan indication, so we will have market exclusivity. So this is how we balance our risk. We'll take a big pharma type drug candidate. We take the phytocannabinoids and then cannabinoid derivatives. And for the cannabinoid derivatives, that would be our programs 3 and 4. And to accelerate and reduce the risk, we made an exclusive license agreement with Canopy Growth. So Canopy Growth was in the pharmaceutical cannabinoid derivative space, and they had an extensive library, 355 compounds and 14 patent families, and we licensed all that in exclusively. And we believe this is going to, as I said, accelerate our programs 3 and 4. We also had an agreement with Dow Rated Drug Discovery. They're the CRO, the drug discovery group that did the work for Canopy. And this made for a seamless transition of our work. We already have 3 programs that are ongoing with them. And then we also, finally, we had an agreement with STEMTech, an evolution of our relationship with Oxford, Professor Samuel Kadar, who works with us on pain. He started up a company, STEMTech, with this cutting edge pain in a dish model. And we signed an agreement with him, and he's already screening our compounds. Now, when we set up OCT, we had two different ways that we could go. We could go the medicinal cannabis route, or we could go the pharmaceutical route. And we decided the pharmaceutical route, that is the licensed medicines approved by FDA, MHRA, the same type of drug product that you get at the chemist. We decided to go that route for multiple reasons. First of all, the U.S. is by far our largest market, dollar-wise or pound-wise. And physicians there, they cannot prescribe medical cannabis by law. They can only prescribe what FDA has approved. Well, our target market are patients that have chronic and severe pain who are in the care of a physician. So naturally, we want drug products that can be prescribed. The other reasons are we want to make medical claims. And to be able to make a claim, it has to be approved by a medicines regulatory agency. We wanted drug products that would be reimbursed, so the patient isn't paying out of pocket. These will be on the formularies of insurance companies. And then we wanted to make phytocannabinoids better, and that's what we're doing through our cannabinoid derivative programs in the Canopy library. We're improving on these compounds. To do that, you have to go the pharmaceutical route. And then finally, this just simply offers what we feel is by far a greater return on investment. We have a management team. I won't go into detailed management on the board, but we have combined 75 years experience in our respective fields, and we have the skills and expertise necessary to deliver on the drug development programs. Likewise, the board is very experienced. We have Neil Mahapatra, the founder, well experienced in the cannabis industry. Cheryl Dillon, 30 years in Otsuka. She brings, this tremendous pharmaceutical industry experience. And then we have Richard Bish and Julie. They bring finance experience to the company. So we are very well served by our board. If I take you to the timeline quickly of, how we got started and where we are. So in 2017, the company was founded around a umbrella agreement with Oxford University. We're not a spin out, and there's no equity or royalties to the university. It was a fee-for-service contract, but allowed us to really jumpstart our research. And then the following year, in 2018, we started to develop our own derivative library, which we've now combined with the Canopy library. In that same year, we also closed our Series A with Imperial Brands leading. And then in 2019, we in-licensed our lead candidate, because again, we want to jumpstart our program with a solid drug candidate. And then last May, we had our IPO where we successfully raised 16.5 million pounds. Since then, we've kicked off 2 preclinical developments, a license agreement, and then partnerships with 2 other companies. So we're off to a really good start. And then by Q4 of next year, or this year, excuse me, by Q4 of 2022, and then Q1 of 2023, we'll have our first 2 drug candidates in the clinic, so they'll be in humans. So about this time next year, we'll be phase 2 ready with 2 drug candidates. And this is going to be a big transformation for OCT, where we move from a preclinical stage company into a clinical stage pharmaceutical company. If the question is, if it's how do you build your drug development program, what is in your pipeline? Well, we have 3 types of inputs. The first we talked about is phytocannabinoids directly out of the plant. Safety, we don't think will be an issue. We're very confident about that with so many thousands of years of use. The cannabinoid derivatives is the second class, and we do this because we can improve the properties on it. And then in the third class is the big pharma type approach, a totally new chemical entity that specifically and potently targets a cannabinoid receptor. And they each have, they balance risk, they each have strengths that create a really diversified and powerful pipeline. In terms of our development, we're running a partnering or virtual model. And we have, as you will see in the next slide, a lot of partners that we've built that gives us the same expertise as a pharmaceutical company. And then in terms of monetization, what we plan to do with our programs, we want to take them at least to phase 2 and At that point, you see, your greatest value inflection, or you see, the balancing the risk and the value inflection. It's a great point there to decide whether you want to partner, do a JV, or continue on for approval and commercialization. For some of our drug candidates, we certainly want to take them all the way through to commercialization. If you ask me what the secret sauce of OCT is, I'd say, well, number one, our CSO, Valentino Paravicini, his ability to select drug candidates and indications and develop our drug, initiate our drug development programs. The second part of it is just creating these phenomenal teams around each drug development program. And these are all blue chip organizations. They're used by big pharma as well as startups alike. And the beauty of this is that we now have, as a small company, the same expertise as any big pharma. So we can do anything that a big pharma can do because of these relationships that we established in this network. Going forward, what this means is, now that it's in place, we've had a lot of heavy lifting the last 9 months, and now we can simply apply this to any new program. So now the wheels are fully greased to move forward very smoothly. Now let's talk about our pipeline. So our first drug candidate, 461201, this is a cannabinoid mimetic. So it's a new chemical structure. It's a very potent and selective CB2 agonist. Now what that means in layman's terms is there's no psychoactive properties, because that's a receptor called CB1. But what this is, it has analgesic properties, so it reduces pain. It also reduces neuroinflammation. And this is going to be a first-in-class compound for neuropathic pain and visceral pain. The compound, the drug candidate, is in preclinical development, is moving very smoothly. It's going to be developed as a pill that a patient will take once or twice a day. And we expect to be in the clinic early Q1 2023. Our second program, number 2 on there, is phytocannabinoids. Combination of phytocannabinoids, same structure that's found in the plant. These are going to be inhaled. And the reason why we're using an inhaled route of administration is we're going to treat trigeminal neuralgia. Now, this is trigeminal neuralgia is an excruciating pain condition. In fact, it's rated as the highest pain known to humans. And what happens is trigeminal neuralgia patients have attacks that create this excruciating facial pain, and they come on very suddenly. And we don't have time for oral dosage forms to act. We need to act very quickly, and the way to do that is through inhalation. And the simplest way to do that is a metered dose inhaler, just like the blue or brown that an asthma patient takes. This is, like I discussed earlier, it's a very fast-moving project. This is actually going to take the lead for a while and be the lead candidate, because it's going to go into the clinic in Q4 of this year. Now, both drug candidates will be tied again at the end of our funding round, and as we set forth in the prospectus, they'll be phase 2 ready in Q2 of 2023. And then the third and the fourth programs, these are going to come out of the Canopy library. The number 3 is going to be for neuralgias and neuropathic pain. The fourth program, it's a different program. They're going to be targeting different receptors, and we're taking a very focused approach. We've changed our approach to program 4, but the end goals are exactly the same and the timing is exactly the same. In fact, we're hoping we can actually accelerate that due to the Canopy library. If we look at our timelines, we're still on time as we stated in the prospectus, with our first commercialization planned for 2027, to be followed soon thereafter by subsequent approvals. And one of the key synergies of our product strategy is that we develop drug candidates that can be repurposed across multiple indications. So we've indicated it for the first one, 461201, in the first 3 lines. We didn't do it for the rest for the sake of space. But what this allows us to do is we don't have to repeat the preclinical and the phase 1, because that's about safety. For the subsequent indications, we can go directly into efficacy studies. And this, this reduces the risk that now it's already de-risked. It's much closer to commercialization. It offers downside protection in case one indication would happen to fail, then we can take the other ones forward. It also has great upside because now you have this drug development program that's much closer to commercialization, has a higher valuation. The financial overview. So we released our interims, and we're in very good shape. We have 12 million in the bank, and importantly, this is going to take us where we said it would take us to at the end of Q1 in 2023, and it's going to allow us to complete all of the milestones that we set forth in the prospectus. So we're still on time, on track, and on budget. The research, I mean, in terms of the cost, about 2/3 of it went to our lead candidate program. Now, as the research picks up for program 2, this is going to balance out. Overall, I expect we're going to spend about 1/3 for the program first, 1/3 for the second, and 1/3 for the other 2 earlier stage programs. We have changed our financial year to April, and that just gives us a little more time to get our filings in before everyone goes off on holiday. And then, we've instituted very early on a procurement and expenditure review just to make sure that we're maximizing our funding, for our programs, because that is paramount to us. And then if I, can just summarize, we're a company that is targeting with an aim to help patients that have been left behind in the opioid crisis. These are patients in pain with chronic and severe pain indications. And we believe cannabinoids and this next generation compounds offer the best opportunity to reduce or replace opioids in many indications. We have a balanced and diversified pipeline that offers multiple opportunities for success. We built this incredible network of CROs and other service providers that now give OCT the same expertise and capabilities as any big pharma company. And finally, we are doing as we said we would do. It's paramount that we keep our word, and in our prospectus, we set forth our milestones, and we are achieving those, and we are on track, on time, and on budget. Thank you.
Will government regulations affect the business?
No, we're not. The fortunate thing about the route that we're going is we're not dependent upon any different legislation that would then legalize cannabis or have any effect on cannabis programs, because we are, our drug products are treated the same as any other drug product that you would get from the chemist. It's under different sets of regulations.
Okay. Do you have or do you need to apply for FCA approval?
For what approval?
FCA approval.
FCA approval for what?
Well, the question basically is, do you have or do you need to apply for FCA approval for what obviously you're going ahead with the strategy?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not you're aware of. Okay. Recently, there's been quite a few changes with the board. Obviously, what is your overview of what's been happening recently in terms of changing at the top?
Well, the change at the top, I mean, there's not been that many changes. Neil Mahapatra, our founder, moved over to a NED role, and Julie Pomeroy, who was a NED, moved into the chairman position. And I've been working with both of them for quite some time now, so it's it's business as usual. Bish Mukherjee was our Imperial Brands representative. He left Imperial Brands, so then we brought on a new Imperial Brands representative, Richard Hathaway. But Bish is doing an incredible job for the company, and we're really happy that he stayed on.
Okay. It's one here. With all the positive vibes about the medical qualities of cannabis, why does the share price not reflect this interest and positive outlook?
Yes, you know, the share price, you know, that weighs heavily on us, and it's heavy on my shoulders every day. You know, we've kind of gotten stuck in between a big, you know, hit in the cannabis market, and then we've had a very bad year in the biotech pharma, particularly in the startup sector market too, and that's weighed heavily on the share price. So if you look at, you know, the market dynamics overall, you know, you see the trend. You know, the bright news in this is I do believe that, you know, things are going to pick up here in the spring and into the summer. But, you know, more importantly, you're going to see OCT then moving into clinical trials and then moving out of phase 1 and being ready for phase 2. And at that point, you know, we believe the market is going to reflect, you know, the added value that brings.
Okay. One here. What, in your opinion, would be the major game changer for you and the company?
What would be a major game changer for me and the company?
Yeah.
A major game changer. Well, we have some game changers. You know, we have our drug candidates that are going into phase 1. I do believe that you know is going to be our first game changer. You know, we have program 2 is going to go in Q4, and then in Q1 next year, you know, program 1, and that is going to be game changing for the company.
Okay. Are there other companies in the same field, same sector you're currently working in, which you feel would be a possible acquisition target?
Acquisition target. Well, fortunately there's no companies that are doing, you know, what we were doing. They're not doing cannabinoids in pain. They may be doing cannabinoids, and we do a commercial analysis of all of our programs before we start to know that we are going, you know, that we are going to be in a very good competitive position. You know, in terms of acquisitions, you know, we're reviewing potential opportunities all the time. We don't comment on those, but you know, it's routine that we are always looking at something. But we don't comment one way or the other on any particular deal.
Okay. Just to touch on the current share split, share register, what is it in terms of institutions compared to retail and directors? Yeah,
the institutions, that's what we need, and that's what, you know, the company is going to focus on in the next round. This round, it's high retail. Our biggest institution is Imperial Brands with about 10%. With the directors, I think it's around 20%.
With so many trials on the go, are you stretching yourself somewhat?
You know, yeah, I mean, there was so much heavy lifting. We did this 9 months to get all this network in place, you know, and we do have the phase 1s coming up. Everyone is stretched really thin, but it's such an exciting time, you know, to be moving these forward. The next round, when we start moving into phase 2, you'll see additional headcount at that point because, you know, we'll have to get additional expertise, you know, in certain areas like a CMO, you know, quality control, clinical trial managers, and so forth. But right now we have, you know, we've built a solid network around us. We're all stretched, but we're all, you know, it's a happy time, happy stress, you know, to move the program forward, and it feels really good. Good.
Okay. Well, we wish you well, John. Thank you very much for the presentation this evening. Appreciate your time.
And thank everyone who showed up tonight and listened to it. I really appreciate it, and feel free to drop me a line if you have any questions.
And you've given permission for the decks to be sent out to the people who signed up this evening?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we say good evening to you, John. All the best to you. Thank you very much.